It was the moment I was being taught to read for the first time. And I remember this very vividly. I must have been very young. I think I could have been 3 or 4. And the teacher was teaching me to read by pointing at a word and saying, "This is the word, repeat the word." And then teaching me another word like that, and then putting together a simple sentence made up of these few words that I'd memorized. And I turned to her and said, "Well, that's not reading, that's just memorizing and repeating words." And the reason why I think that that's the moment I knew I was a writer is because I felt that reading was a creative act, that an encounter with literature was not simply about reading words that others had written and reading those words by memorizing what those words had been in the past. Reading was a creative act. Encountering the world of literature had to be creative. I think I've sacrificed a sense of surety in that every writer that I know of certainly writes out of a sense of responsibility and an obligation to others, to issues, to the craft of writing itself, and to models of writing that they've been inspired by. But I guess the authors I admire most are people who feel they need to attempt in modest but very serious ways to start all over again and to essentially give up on what's been said before and how it's been said before. Well, as an educator myself, I think it's crucial that we understand Canadian literature, Canadian stories, in order to understand the hopes of individuals, our collective hopes, our dreams, but also, perhaps ever more important, our collective blindnesses and illusions as Canadians. I'm David Chariandy, and I value Canadian stories. Support me and others by visiting ivaluecanadianstories.ca.